borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry
Yes.
weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running, 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who without Mrs. B might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Oh, I hear echoes.
Echo. Echo, echo,
It's like
echo,
you're like,
echo,
woo,
echo.
woo, woo. That's what I hear. How you doing this morning?
I am doing really well. Am I in there twice?
I think so. You are duplicated, lady.
All right. Is that why we're echoing?
That's why you're echoing.
All right. Let
I don't
me
know which
just
one to get rid of.
read that. Yeah, that's me too.
Let's see.
Don't you just love
I know.
live?
It wouldn't be a show
All
if
right.
we didn't have
Let
technical
me
stuff.
do it because
Okay.
there's two. Let me hit X here, and then you'll just have to bring me up on the other one.
Okay. Well, while you're doing, oh wow, she really went quick too. So, welcome everybody to the Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs, and I'm going to bring up the other BB. I think we have it together where we're not echoing. I love, she's just a boast of fresh air to be twice, but we just need her one time today.
Only me once. I just love modern technology.
I know.
I got into it, and then I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what happened. And then I went, well, where did the StreamYard link go?
I like how you said. See, that's what I love about our show. We're just so open. We're just like, I really don't know what just happened, but
no idea where it is.
Anyway, so yeah. So again, welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show with the BBs. And we have a very special guest coming on in a little bit. But before we bring this fabulous woman on, we want to kind of, first of all, introduce ourselves. I want to let you go first, Barbara, because I know you always remind me, but I'm going to let you go.
Okay. Well, I'm Barbara Ellison. I'm your personality pro. And, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. So that's why I work with people to help them get their health. And I've shortened this down so much. I just work with people to help them get their health back, to be the svelte person that they want to be, or get if they have a wellness challenge. But I also work with the personality, with the person or their personality. And right now I'm excited. I'm working on a thing of how do you take your personality on vacation?
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be all about how you go on vacation, and everybody is different. So what if you have the different personalities? They're all trying to go on vacation together in a family. So it's going to be just really cute.
Oh my God. I just thought about that, Barbara. I mean, you're going to have from action to blueprint to knowledge to
exactly
the nurturers. Everybody's going to be all over the place.
Exactly. Well, I told you about the first time that David and I went on. We were planning a trip, and I came home one day and I said, honey, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm planning our trip. And I said, well, what trip? He said, the trip we're going to go, and we're going to go to Las Vegas for me to see the lights. And I said, yes, honey, I know that trip, but that trip, we're doing that in November. This is August. What are you doing? And he said, well, I'm figuring out how we're going to get from LA to Las Vegas. And he looked up at me in total surprise and said, well, when are you going to figure out how to go from LA to Las Vegas? I said, David, when I get in the rental car in LA. And he was sitting on the floor in August planning a November trip with all the maps and atlases to figure out the best way to go. Talk about going on vacation. And do you think that happened? Do you think that scenario played out in other parts of our marriage and in other times we went on vacation?
Oh, wow. Well, at least he was.
So that's what this little thing is going to be about. How to go on vacation with the other personalities.
You are going to, when you come back, you're definitely going to have to talk about that, because I want to hear how that went.
Yeah. So I'm doing a live event here near where I live at the DeKalb County Library.
Good.
So we're doing that on Thursday night, and it's like it's just going to be a fun thing to just the end of summer. Labor Day weekend is coming.
Can you
A lot
believe
of
it?
people are going away for the Labor Day. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's me. So that's what I do. I help people to get healthy, and I teach them how to get along with the other people.
So Barbara does that, and what I do is I make sure people understand what their purpose is.
Right, exactly.
They
And it all ties together. It really does.
We glide together. And then once they figure out, okay, who am I? What am I supposed to do? What am I going to be when I grow up? As I tell people. Then after that, we make them, I call it shine, make them visible.
Yeah.
Make people get to know them. Because it's one thing I always tell people, okay, you know who you are now. Now everybody else needs to know who you are, how fabulous and amazing you are. So that's what I do by interviews, shows like this, getting with collaboration partners. There's a wonderful person, is Barbara here next to me, and the other guests that we bring on. So this is a part of what we do, as as like you said, collaboration. We make sure people are happy, we make sure people understand personalities, and we make sure people understand their purpose. We make sure that they're visible.
Exactly. And and because we all see life differently, and so one of the things that I thought I would share with you today is the 7 decisions that we can make. And it's from a book his name is Andy Andrews. And he has a podcast and stuff, but the 7 decisions that we can make to live our life. And that's why I'm really excited, because Marilyn is going to come along, because how these 7 decisions can follow you all the way through your life. So decision number 1. The buck stops here. And I think that was Winston Churchill that said that.
Okay.
And it's like, take responsibility. You are right now, your life right now is the product of all the decisions that you have made up until now.
Well, yeah.
Good or bad. That I look back on some of the decisions that I've made and went, ooh.
Yeah.
Not quite the most stellar decision I could have made for my life.
Yeah, like my husband.
And the thing is, we all have those.
Yes.
We all have those.
Yes.
So the step number 2 is to seek wisdom.
Seek wisdom. Okay.
And that's where this show comes in. Even if you get one little glimmer of, oh, I could do that. Or like with you, when you work with somebody to find their purpose. Oh,
that light bulb.
You see those little light bulbs go on.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is, once you have the light bulb that goes on, make the decision to follow it, and then take action.
Yes.
Oh,
I like that. Take
don't let
action.
fear stop you. Because your brain is going to try to stop you. Your brain will try to stop you, because your brain, listen people here. And once I got this piece, my brain tries to stop me all the time. Because it can only process what it's already experienced. You have to get past that it's already experienced. So you have to do, but it is willing to learn something new when it's forced.
Yes.
So you're in charge. You are in charge, not your brain. Your brain doesn't want to change. You're in charge. So make a decision and then take action on it. Okay. So, but part of that is looking at the pros and cons, because you don't want to do stupid stuff. And I look back now and go, well, okay, yeah, I didn't look at the pros and cons of that, and I did some stupid stuff. Welcome to the world.
Welcome to the world.
So just knowing your heart, just look at the pros and cons. And with me now, I have really realized that just ask God, okay, God, should I be doing this? And sit and wait for an answer.
Yeah.
That's
what you always say, Barbara, what you always say, pause, and there's 3 steps that you always say.
Stop, wait, and then listen.
Listen. Yeah.
It's so important. Such an important 3 easy things whenever you're faced with anything. Okay. So number 5, And this is my favorite.
I'm liking these.
Choose to be happy.
Oh, well, that. See how that played right into what you do?
Choose to be happy. Because despite the hardships that you're going through, and when you can have an attitude of gratitude,
Oh, I love it. Love it.
it will just make everything else. You can always find something to be grateful for, even if it's only thank you, Lord, for indoor plumbing.
Yeah. And lights.
And lights and hot running water
Yes.
and air conditioning.
Oh, especially these days, past days.
Yeah, there's just like when I see that help heal humanity, where they have no running water.
Yeah.
We are blessed.
So blessed.
And Haiti is a tropical island. There's no air conditioning. And thank you, Lord, for be grateful. And if that's the only thing that you're grateful for that day, be grateful for that. Anyway, so number 6, have a forgiving heart.
Oh, good. I like that. Have to forgive.
You got the biggest thing though, Barb. How often have you beat yourself up for something that you've done?
Oh, okay. Now you're talking about forgiving yourself. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, no, both. Both. It's absolutely both things, but we have to start with ourselves.
I think that's harder than forgiving people sometimes.
And that's harder. Exactly. Yeah. Because when we don't forgive ourselves, we are reliving that pain and lots of times it's because we caused it ourselves. Like I said, I look back on some of the decisions that I made that were less than stellar. And it was like, oh, Barbara, how could you have been so stupid? Barbara?
I could win some awards for mine, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just welcome to my world. I had to declare bankruptcy. Okay, yeah. Partly it wasn't my fault, but partly it was. And I had to take responsibility for that. And then forgive myself for the part that I did play that, Barbara, you might not have done your due diligence and you got suckered into something that you should have, maybe stopped, waited, and listened more. See how it all ties in.
That's where we get those learning curves and then the stepping stones. I always tell people the strength when we go through that rocky road.
Exactly, because you cannot have a testimony without a test.
I like that. That's good.
And the thing is that and this is one of the things that Jason, he always remembers me saying, is that if you have done something, felt something, been through something in your life, chances are somebody else has been through it, done it, and then help each other to get through it. Because you might be through it. Like I'm through some things that other people are just starting in.
Yeah.
You have been through some things that other people have no concept of. And yet they know people that are going through it.
Yes,
that's why it's so important to get our messages out there.
Yes, to tell our stories. Yeah,
tell our stories. So the number 7 is just be persistent in going through the other 6. Be persistent. And try to do it. So
you got to say that list, Barbara. I like that.
My little sermon of the day. Because we can. The thing is, it's the law of 3. Yes. You can only do what we can with what we have and where we are.
Yeah.
And that's a universal law. That's you can only do. You only know what you know now.
That's what you always say.
Like one of my favorite sayings. You hear me say it all the time. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And it seemed like ever since you told me that, Barbara, it's just like it sticks in my head now.
Right. And it's absolutely the truth. And like sometimes people say, well, just change your mind. Well, and I think I said this to you the other day. Well, Barbara, you can't change your mind about something you don't know about.
It's like, if I didn't know that, how can I change it?
How can you change your mind? That's why it's so important to just listen to podcasts, listen to shows, seek wisdom. from
Yes.
other people, because
All the
you're
time.
not alone in whatever you're going through.
Yes. And you learn from so many others when you open your ears and listen. Like you said, I always tell people, listen. But that's why we have, old saying, that's why you have two ears and one mouth. Shut the mouth,
Mhm.
listen with the ears,
Yeah.
and get that knowledge and that wisdom.
Yeah.
So yeah. So with that, we're gonna get some more knowledge and wisdom from our guests. We're gonna bring her on right after the sponsor.
You're going to love Marilyn. She's a trip.
Ta-da! Uh-oh.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing, Marilyn?
Well, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. It's 6 o'clock here in California time.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy. We really appreciate Marilyn right about
But
now.
I'm a morning person.
Oh, okay. So that's not
I'm a
too
morning
bad.
person, and no, not bad at all. My body clock wakes me up at 5:30. So this morning, because I was so excited to be here, I woke up at 4:30. I did snooze a little bit, but I was ready to hop out of bed at about 5:15 and get my act together.
Yeah. I'm an early riser myself. I very seldom. I'm usually awake like 5:15 ish. Because that's my quiet time. So, anyways, Marilyn, I am so glad that you are here. We had such a great talk. So, number one, I want you to introduce yourself, because that's okay. I'm going to tell on myself. One of the things, I do not like listening to bios that are being read. It's one of my because no matter how well you know it or how good you are at it, you always know that you're just reading a bio. That's one of my. And one day a friend of mine said, well, then why do it? I went, exactly. Why do it? So that's why I love when people introduce themselves, because then you know what? Then you can tell about the things that you're excited about of what you're doing. So, Marilyn, take it away.
Okay. So I'm Marilyn Robinson. My current mission and purpose in life is being a life designer coach. I'm helping people really grab a hold of the last third of their life and make it the best third of their life. And not financially, I'm not a financial advisor, but how many times do people think, oh, I'm turning 60 and it's downhill from here? Well, it's not downhill from here. So I'm 63 and I'm enjoying the best part of my life. I'm empty nested, so I don't have to take care of my kids anymore. They're all successful, having a great time. So it's just my husband and we now get to play. I'm lucky I work for myself. I'm retired from the corporate world. I had 20 plus years at Intel. Learned a lot. I loved everything I learned. It was a great company to work for. Got to see a lot of different places on their, not that weren't on my bucket list that they paid for. But I gained a lot of wisdom. You were talking about wisdom. Excuse me. So, I gained a lot about business. And so I have the business knowledge also to help people if that's what they need. Having 3 kids while having a career and still enjoying a social life or an active physical life. We love the outdoors. We took the kids where we wanted to go. They're all avid outdoor people now because that's what they grew up with. So that's been a blessing. But getting back to my purpose, I kind of help people take a look at their life when they're in their 40s and 50s, because I know I quit corporate in 40. I was very fortunate to climb that ladder, make some good bucks. Intel stock was amazing at the time. And so both my husband and I decided to quit because the company got too big, wasn't where we wanted to work. And that enabled us to homeschool our kids for 3 years with the world as our classroom. How cool is that? They didn't think it was, but I thought it was, to see things firsthand. So I feel that, going into the last third of your life, you really need to work and prepare for it. You need to understand what it is you're going to do next, because like you said, that your identity, your purpose, a lot of it is attached to your title at work, who you are at work. And when you walk away from that, all of a sudden you walk away from that identity, that purpose, and you're like lost. There are so many people that retire and become drones. They just don't know who they are. So having that, looking ahead and deciding, well, what have I always wanted to do? What is drawing me from my heart that I want to go and work on? And so finding that purpose ahead of time can help you set things up so you can walk right into that as you change the hat, take the hat off of the corporate world and put the hat on of your new purpose. And of course, relationships are key. A lot of people grow apart while they're raising their kids, and then all of a sudden they're empty nested. And who are you? I have to live the rest of my life with you? What do I want? Why would I want to do that?
I have to admit, I did that.
So,
my first husband, it was like the only thing we had in common were the kids.
Wow.
And we just didn't make it. Didn't make it.
And I do have a client right now that's in that situation. She just took her last daughter off to college, and she's like, even my daughters are wondering when we're going to get divorced. And I thought, that's so awful. Yeah. So, I mean, so anyway, that's one of my clients that's, been a joy to work with, to open her eyes to remember what they used to do together and try to bring some of that back into the relationship. But there's also relationships with your, there's also relationships with your adult children. They no longer do what you tell them to do, dang it. They come to your house and tell you what to do.
And you can't spank them.
Yeah, what do you do when they're adult children and you need to say something to them, but you can't spank them or anything because they're adults? Okay, what do you do?
So I still have the rule that this is my house and my rules follow. So when you come visit, you can't tell me how many. My son came home one time and he goes, "Mom, you got 10 different, well, not 10, 5 different mustards in here. Why do you have so many different mustards?" I said, "Well, one is for Dad and his sausage. One is for sandwiches. One's for cooking. And, oh, wait a minute, this one's yours. You brought it home from college and left it here."
That was funny. One of them was his.
He says, "Okay, well, I'll use that one up so you can get rid of that one." So the other thing I work with people on is I didn't realize this, and when I was very social, we were always active, we were always coordinating, to get together with friends and stuff. Well, our friends were Intel people, so it was really easy when we worked there. You walk in the aisles and you find them, and it's like, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" And, "Oh, let's get together and do this or that." And then all of a sudden you're not there anymore, and you don't see them. So one, out of sight, out of mind. But two, it takes extra effort to get in touch with them and make plans. And they may have already made plans with somebody they ran into the hall with before. So social aspects, when you walk away I hate to use the word retirement because that has a connotation, but when you change and go into your last phase of your life, you need to be thinking about who do you have stuff in common with, and who can you
Right.
continue to stay in touch with, and make an effort to do so. Otherwise, again, it just becomes you and your partner, which isn't bad. I'm not saying that's bad. And then, like Barbara, like you were saying, health and fitness is so key. I wish I had spent a little more time on myself, but I'm a giver. I love taking care of my husband, love taking care of my home, love taking care of my kids. And I don't have time for me. So, I didn't take the best care of myself. So I've gained some weight. I'm working on letting that go. But otherwise, I'm pretty healthy. I did at least, take care of myself. I only go for my annual checkup. But that's really key going into your last third of your life, that you want to be able to do all these things. So in your 40s and 50s, you really need to take care of yourself because it's an accumulative problem. So those are my focus areas for depending upon what the individual wants to work on and what's important for their growth and wisdom. So that's who I am.
Wow. Well, no, Marilyn, I know you have like this guide for evaluating your relationship. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a questionnaire to give you food for thought. And I always recommend that there'll be a link that you can go and download it, and find a quiet place with your favorite beverage, whether it's coffee, wine, whatever, but go where you're not going to be interrupted. Read through the questions first, just to get a feel for the things that are in there. And then sit back, close your eyes, and really think about your relationship, and then go back to the document and answer the questions. And at the end, it gives you some room to, focus on, well, what do I really want to improve in my relationship? And, talking about communication is one of the key things. And you talked about listening, wait and listen. Well, I don't care what relationship it is, whether it's friends, family, children, husband, co-workers, whatever. Communication is the most important skill. And unfortunately, humans, we tend to have part of communication is listening, and we tend to not do that so well. We all are always thinking about, oh, I need to say this. Oh,
Yeah.
I should add that. Oh, what? Oh, and so we're not really actively listening because our brain is like going through all of those experiences you talked about, and wanting to share our wisdom. um, I think the key thing about communicating is, and I'm still learning this because I know everything. I'll tell you, I know everything. So when my husband says something, I know exactly what he's thinking. And the reality is, I don't. I don't. And so assuming that where the other person's coming from or what they meant is a bad assumption. And so you seek first to understand is a principle of Covey. I do a lot of personal development reading, and Stephen Covey talks about seek first to understand. And this is true with kids, asking questions, clarifying. Did I hear you correctly? I heard this. Is that what you meant to say? And a lot of times my husband's eyes will pop open and he says, oh, no, I didn't mean to say it that way. And then I said, okay, well, can you restate it so that I don't take it the way I took it?
Right.
So,
That's good. Yeah.
so, yeah. So then, you talked about listening, and that takes a lot of patience, with your kids, because again, you want to get in there and you want to tell them the lesson you want to teach them. And, your spouse, you always want to be right. So you want to jump in and correct them. But I tell you, if you just can wait, sit back, show genuine interest with eye contact, body language, they'll get done quicker, and then you can have your turn.
Yeah, I love how you brought up Marilyn because listening is the key. And I think all of us, because the three of us, we're coaches too. I mean, we're consultants and we talk to many, people during the day. And, you can't sit there and be like, okay, I can't wait for them to be quiet so I can say what I have to say because I know how to fix their life. And it's like, no, 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 you need to sit back and you need to listen to what they're saying. Don't jump in saying, oh, you need to do this, this, and this. And they're going to look at you like, really? But
Who
you
are you
didn't
to
hear
tell
the
me?
part. Yeah, you didn't hear the part that I don't want to do that. So, yes, that's
Yeah.
very important.
Well,
Very
and people really really appreciate it when you demonstrate that you've listened. So if you have the opportunity, to restate something they said, that shows that you have heard them. They really appreciate it, especially like when you follow up again. I'm really, whenever I reconnect with a friend, I always try to remember, what did we talk about last time? What can I ask them about to see how it went? What were they dealing with back then, and what can I get, so that they understood that I was paying attention and really listening, and that really, goes to the heart of people that are receiving that message.
yeah.
And one of the
So,
things I find is that,
um,
when you do listen, I remember one time my sister and we are best friends. And one day we were just at each other.
Ooh,
And then it was like, all right, Liz, let's stop here. Let's figure out what's going on here. And what we realized is that we were both saying exactly the same thing. We were just coming from two completely different directions. And yet we were both saying
that ha-
pretty much the same thing. And that's what happens to
yeah,
people.
mm.
It's
yeah,
like, all right,
happens to my husband and I all the time.
and we were absolutely nattering at each other, and it was escalating. And then all of a sudden it was like, all right, come on, we need to stop here. Let's see what's actually going on here. And we were saying the same thing, just coming from
Yeah.
completely different
Well,
directions.
that's interesting because that leads me into my next thought, which is controlling your emotions. When you
Mm,
communicate, we hear something we don't like and we respond with,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I can't believe he just said that to me, or she said that to me. And like I said, a lot of times my husband doesn't realize his brain is going a mile a minute and his mouth just tries to keep up. And so he just spits things out. And it's like, no, that's not a nice way to say that. Can you rephrase that? But so breathing, my husband has actually taught me breathing because he has gets himself worked up so much that he has to calm himself down, and so he does practice, just taking a moment, take a deep breath, let it out. And the fact is, only you can control how you respond to a situation. So how
Yes.
you react or respond in words is really up to you. And you know the best thing is, again, ask for clarification. This is what I heard you say, is that correct? Or and so but it's so funny because I don't know how long or how much anxiety you each got when you were going at it back and forth, but I tell you,
Right.
those verbal confrontations get me going. And I'm like, not that I'm having a heart attack, but I think, oh, it's not
Well,
helping
it's
my heart
upsetting.
to get all
It's
that.
upsetting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
so
funny
trying to
when I
take
go
that
through.
breath.
Yeah, you try to take that breath, like you said, Marilyn. And it's funny because when I get into like maybe a heated, like you said, conversation, somebody has to like what Barbara did. Somebody has to be the, what do you want to call the? I don't want to say. I hate to say the bigger person, but I'll say it and say, okay, this needs to stop. Either I need to be quiet or they need to be quiet, so we can kind of go back to another path here. And sometimes my favorite word, and people said, Barbara, this is your favorite word. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And they'll be like, what do you mean you're done? We're having this conversation. You said da, 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 da. I said, I am done. We're not getting anywhere. You're not listening to me now because you're talking over me. And that's one of those pet peeves that I hate. Ooh, I have a pet peeve about that. When you're talking and somebody talks over you, or somebody, just goes right into why you're trying to say something. Because to me, that's just so disrespectful. It's like, let me finish what I have to
Yeah.
say. And one time somebody told me, well, you talk too slow, Barbara, so I'm trying to speed you up.
Well, how about that? Whoa.
And I was like, so I made even worse. I said, well, what I'm going to say now is I'm going to understand that you said that I talk too slow. It made it worse.
My husband's favorite, I'm a storyteller. I love adjectives. I love to picture things. I'm a vision person. So I want you to picture it like I picture it. So I add a lot of adjectives. And my husband is not. He's a kind of a factual kind of direct to the point. So his favorite is, can you just give me the punchline or the end of the story? What's the climax for this story?
I know sometimes well,
Oh,
Marilyn, I was going to ask you, does sometimes your husband, like, what, since you're like me, I'm a storyteller too, and I think Barbara is too. We're all storytellers in our own right. So does he stop you and kind of like think what he'll say what he's thinking you're thinking that you're going to say at the end? Because I know sometimes I do the same thing, and then I start saying, well, they were over here and they said, okay, and then they did this, right? And I was like, well, wait a minute, I didn't get to that yet.
My husband would do that to me, or he would pat me. Barb, cut out all the details. What's the bottom line? And he would do that. What's the bottom line? And it would be like,
so
David, that's not part of the story. You're missing all the fluff.
All the. And they're like, all we need, I just want to get to the store. You're taking me through the whole journey of getting to the store. I just wanted, what did you do? What did you get? What did you, that's what they want.
yeah.
And he never
Well, my
understood.
husband is ADHD. Yeah, my husband is ADHD. And so what he does instead is he starts moving things around. So like if he's here in my office, he'll start rearranging stuff on my desk. And so I know I've lost his attention span. He doesn't necessarily interject what he thinks the story's going to be. He just starts, fidgeting. Or if he's standing, he'll start, shifting his weight from foot to foot. And I said, okay. So I've, and I try, he doesn't tell stories, but he likes to tell details about how he solved a problem. And so he'll give you the summary. And then if you look like you're paying attention, he'll go ahead and he'll start telling you step by step how he completed it. And I'll tell him too much information, too much information. I'm glad it got done. I'm glad you were successful. Thank you so much for fixing that. But too much information.
My husband, when we were the last time that we were buying a car, he totally like that. Loved the research of what the kind of car was. I finally had to look at him and said, David, when you get it down to the top 3 cars that you want to actually go and test drive and take me with you, then you can tell me all about those 3 on our way to what we're going to test drive. He was driving me crazy because he loved all the details. Yeah, no. So the same way that it irritated him when I would tell the story, he wanted to tell all the details. But he didn't equate that those were basically sort of the same thing. It was all the details, but it was just the part of the story rather than the technical details about the story.
I'm laughing because I have a best friend of mine. He's the same way, Barbara. He just loves cars. And when he sees, he'll be telling me a whole lot, like the history and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what car you're talking about. I really don't care.
And I wouldn't know one if I tripped over one.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I said, does it drive and does it have air? Because I get hot flashes. That's all I need to know.
Can I turn on the ignition, or do you have to push a button to turn it on?
Thank you. That's all I need to know. But yeah, it's funny.
Well,
It's
I did
funny.
want to share, if we have time, I wanted to share one last thing,
Oh, sure.
about, well, actually two last things. So everybody, well, we all know that relationships are a give and take. You can't have it always your way. So what you do have the right to do, though, is if something is really important to you, um, how something is, how you're going to do something, where you're going to go, whatever, you have the right to explain why that's important to you and why you want it that way, or why you want to do that. And when you take the time to do that and bring them into your thought and what it means to you and how you're going to feel, by doing that, a lot of times, if it's not important to them, they'll give it to you. And likewise, it's reciprocal. If they want something that, a certain way, because it makes sense to them and it really doesn't matter to you, then give it to them. It's a give and take kind of situation. And it doesn't, it's a win-win when you both agree on something, and having it your way all the time isn't necessarily a win-win. Um, and one of the things, I don't know if you guys have ever done the 5 love language tests. Have you
No,
ever done the
I
five
haven't.
love?
I haven't.
So so this is interesting. So my husband and I took it, and we the things that are lower on our list as far as love language, we're kind of in sync. We don't really care about gifts and things like that. That's low on the priority. His love language is quality time.
Mm.
And I said, okay, well, quality time to me, just, spending time talking, things like that. So I asked him, because again, we're opposites, we're different. He's a man, I'm a woman. I said, so what does quality time mean to you? Does it mean like going for dinner and wine tasting? And he goes, oh, no, no, no. I go, well, what does it mean to you? And he goes, well, like when we go kayaking. And I looked at him and I was baffled, because we drive there together, we launch our boats together, and then we don't see each other because he's in a really fast boat and he goes way fast. He's adrenaline junkie. And then I like to tool around and look for the turtles and the birds and whatever else I can find in the wildlife. And then he circles back around and says, "Hey, how are you doing?" And we chat for a second. Then he turns around and takes off again. And I thought, I wouldn't think of that as quality time, but he does. And it's his love language, not mine. So it has to be
Mm.
his definition of quality time.
Quality time.
And mine is, oh, I always forget what the word is. Affirmations. It's like, just, I don't, it's, giving me credit and thanking me for the services that I provide is basically it. And he is phenomenal about that. I am a really, really good cook. And so most of my meals are pretty dang tasty. And I have gotten healthier over the years as far as what I serve now that I don't have kids in the house. So he's always very complimentary and appreciative of, what I serve him. And we have this, I started it with our kids, but we have these little hearts. I don't know if you can see them. I made up these little hearts, and I hang them on the refrigerator. And what it was a lesson for my kids that, we need to appreciate each other. So anytime you want to thank somebody for something they did or recognize them for something they did, take one of the hearts off the refrigerator and write them a little note and leave it for them. Well, these are all the ones my husband has given me. And this isn't even
Oh,
all of them. I just grabbed them.
that's so sweet.
Okay. So
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I like that
So
idea.
he has given me so many of these. He has given me so many of these, and I probably have given him this many.
Oh,
I've just given him a couple. So I'm doing better. I'm doing better at giving him more hearts of appreciation and thanks. But
I
yeah,
like
this
that.
is something that we continue to do to each other. And I just made this, a bunch of these up in PowerPoint and cut them out And you could use you could use stickums. I have a stickum pad that's also a heart. But the heart means it's a heartfelt
Heartfelt.
gift,
Yeah.
you know.
I like that idea.
So
That is so amazing. I like that. That's
yeah.
important because
It
I'm always thinking about, I always tell people, I've been telling myself lately a lot that, I want to start giving flowers now to people that I really appreciate and tell them how much I care and what they do in my life instead of waiting at the end. Because I always, I was telling my cousin the
yeah.
other day, I said, it's sad that we go, and I'm not trying to be too morbid, but just to get my point across, we go to the funeral and we're saying our, condolences about the person that we loved, everything. And I keep telling myself, I said, why don't we do this when they were alive? Why didn't we say some of the things that we're expressing to them in this poem or whatever we do? We should do that while they're still here. So that's why I'm always saying, you're amazing, you're wonderful, I just love you, I appreciate. I always try to say that to like Barbara and everybody else because I want them to hear that and they understand that how much I do care and what they do in life. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
So Marilyn, I'm going to use that. I like the little hearts. Those are nice.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, Barbara, we lost your
Oh, the dog was barking.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, the other
it's
thing too is
and it can be so simple.
go ahead, Barb.
Like giving a little heart and
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, I'm so glad we're on the same team," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
it takes one of it.
And I tell you, when you get them, it's filling up your bank, your emotional bank, and it's great. But going back to what you were saying, Barbara, about giving people flowers instead of waiting to the end, I was thinking, I'm in my 60s. I thought, oh, I'm going to write nice letters to each of my children so they have something for when I die, that letter they get from their mom at the last hour. And I thought, why wait? Why wait to tell them how great they're doing? So again, I had my son's birthday was last Saturday, a week ago. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to send him a card instead of a birthday card. I'm just going to send him a note with all the things that I think are wonderful about him and how much I appreciate him. And it's like, why wait? And he sent me a text and he goes, it just means so much that, that you're proud of me and that you are great. You guys are great parents and help me develop. He turned 31. So he appreciated the letter now. Why wait? It helped him build more self-confidence.
Yes. And he still gets the chance, Marilyn, to keep it, even though, when you transition, he'll still
Yeah.
have it. Hopefully he'll keep it and say, wow, my mother wrote me a letter and really appreciated me. And I know she loved me so much, with the letter. So yeah, I think it's important.
Yeah.
We all need to take that time out. We're always talking about we're so busy doing all this. And I told myself I need to really stop and take that time and appreciate the people in my life. Because, we have, like what Barbara said earlier, gratitude. We need to be grateful for, each other. So
Yes.
thank you, Marilyn, for reminding me of those hearts. I love that idea. I really like that. I'm going to use that really quickly. So Marilyn, we're going to do something a little different. And Barbara, this is new to her too. I'm just springing it on today.
Hey.
So what we're going to start doing is letting our guests, we're going to take myself down and Barbara, we're going to give you 30 seconds just to kind of, say some last thoughts and then where people can contact you. So is that okay? And then we'll come back up and close out.
Okay. Well, I think that the most important thing that you can do in your 40s and 50s is to keep your relationship alive. And to do that, you need to find things that you enjoy doing together. And they don't have to be big things. It could be just sitting and reading a book. My husband and I are both avid book readers. And so we like to go ahead and sit with our coffee and read in the mornings. And, the other thing too is you may have activities that they like to do that you're not as keen on. But again, that goes back to that give. If they really enjoy doing it, go ahead and participate and be there with them. The other thing too is, hobbies. We are blessed to have a hobby farm. So my husband has put in wine grapes, and we enjoy uh, harvesting the wine together and processing the wine, and then of course drinking the wine. There is a point that you do need to keep your own identity. So at that point, we want you to have your own interests, your own friends, so that you have time away, and that allows you to appreciate each other even more. So don't think that it's 100% spend all your hours with, with your partner, with your spouse. The other thing too, a lot of people do date nights. Those are always helpful. Having a scheduled time so that you don't forget to do it, but definitely get things on the calendar, plan to do things and prioritize them, and don't let them fall off. They have to be important to both of you, and that you're doing it. You have to you have to stay interested in each other, but you also have to stay interesting yourself. So keeping that self-identity going, and being able to go ahead and have a moment, to yourself, to do your thing, to continue to grow and blossom in your purpose in life, and then share that with your spouse or partner.
Cool.
So how was that, ladies?
Good words.
Good words of wisdom.
Woo-woo.
And you can just let everybody know we have Marilyn Robinson. We have her information floating below on the screen. And I always recommend people to reach out for this amazing, awesome lady that came on and just was a fabulous guest today to teach us basically the purpose of life, basically, how to life by design. And we need to do that, no matter what age you are. I mean, I know we said the 40s and 50s, but any age you need to find your life design and just, really get into it and really understand that you deserve that. You deserve that. And a lot of times we stop ourselves. We have others around us that can stop, but sometimes the biggest person is ourselves. So reach out to Marilyn, and she can help you maneuver, get that evaluation going. We put that up of your relationship and move forward. So thank you, Marilyn, so much for coming on today. We appreciate you.
It was great. Thank you for inviting me. I had a blast. You ladies are energizing, and I definitely want to stay in touch with you. Love to circle myself with other crazy, fun people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and we will probably have you back on, because we always like to ask. We do that ask about coming back again. So we appreciate you so much. And Barbara, any last thoughts before we count down?
Just remember the 7 things we talked about, and just do your best. Do your best. And I think it comes back to what comes to mind again is, don't beat yourself up for the things that you're not. Celebrate the things that you are. And I just think that just struck me that I needed to say that again, because there are so many people out there that beat themselves up because they're not this, or they're too this, they're not enough that, and whatever that is. Just celebrate what you are. Celebrate that you're a child of the Most High God, and just that you're a blessing, that you are blessed to be a blessing to somebody else. So if you're having trouble in yourself, go help somebody else with something that they're going through.
Oh, good advice. And then I'm just going to take a little piece from Marilyn and just say, get those hearts, cut them hearts out, give those messages to people that you appreciate, and don't make it, towards the end where you didn't get a chance to hear back as you gave them something, and you didn't get a chance to hear them back because, you no longer can talk to them anymore. So yes, I love the hearts. Use those strategies because they do work if you use them wisely. And with that, we will see everybody next Tuesday. I know we have another special guest. We won't say it until the end. And we just wish everybody well. And what we always say, we are here to make happiness the norm. Yes.
Exactly.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
I'm hanging on your every word. The love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I'm